Today I am going to start the chapter from our supplementary reader, Footprints Without Feet, and today I am taking the chapter, the story itself, which is named Footprints Without Feet. This is the story written by a well known author, well known novelist, H.G. Wells, and the Footprints Without Feet. This is the name of our supplementary book also, and this is the actual story. And since chapter 3rd and 4th have been deleted from the course by the board, so this is the 5th chapter. So I am starting with the 5th one, leaving the 3rd and 4th chapter. Now let's discuss about this story. Can a man become invisible? This is the story of a scientist who discovers how to make himself invisible. This scientist discovers a potion to make him a man invisible. He swallows the potion and becomes invisible, and he commits criminal activities which are antisocial. And this story highlights how science can become lethal, dangerous if it is misused by anti-human people, and indirectly it shows such a desire must be restrained in the service of humanity. So this is what the story is all about. Now let's read the story in detail. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London, and where was the man? So here two boys on a London street are amazed, surprised to see fresh muddy footprints without seeing who was making them. These were of a pair of bare feet, and as these boys looked at it, those fresh footmarks appeared from nowhere, as they could not see any man around. As they gazed, a remarkable sight met their eyes. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. They saw that footmarks appeared, but how they were appearing, nobody was there. Further footprints followed. Another footprints appeared, one after another, descending the step, coming down from the steps of the house, and progressing down the street, going towards the street. The boys followed where these footprints were going. Fascinated, those boys were amazed until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter and at last disappeared altogether. Those boys followed those prints till they became fainter and fainter, and at last those prints disappeared. The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. What was mystery for those boys? Its explanation is not difficult. The bewildered boys had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. Actually, those footprints were of a scientist who had discovered how to make human body transparent or invisible. Griffin was the name of that scientist. Griffin, the scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment to prove that the human body could become invisible. And finally, he swallowed certain rare drugs. What he discovered, he swallowed them, and his body became as transparent as a sheet of glass, though it also remained as solid as glass, though the body was solid but transparent. Brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. Though he was a brilliant man, genius scientist, but he was a lawless person, means he did not follow the law and rules. He goes against the law. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him where he lived. His landlord did not like him. He wanted to get him out of his home. So when he tried to throw him out of his home, in revenge, Griffin set fire to the house, as he was a criminal type of person, lawless person. So in revenge, he set the fire to that house. And to get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. Thus, it was that he became a homeless wanderer. After that, without clothes, without money, he became a person moving here and there, roaming here and there, homeless. And those two boys had seen him thus. Until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. And now those two boys saw those footprints. He escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London. But his adventures were by no means over. He continued with some other things. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about London without clothes. It was midwinter. As to remain invisible, he had to remove his clothes. Otherwise, clothes could be seen. Clothes cannot be made invisible. So, to remain invisible, he had to remove his clothes. But as it was the winter season in London and it's very chilly out there, the air was bitterly cold and he could not do without clothes. He could not stay without clothes. Instead of walking about the streets, he decided to slip into a big London store for warmth. Now, to escape from the cold, he decided to go into a store to get some warmth. Closing time arrived. As soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expense, as he was inside the store, departmental store, and when it was shut in the evening, then he could get the clothes from there also. He could find things to eat also. He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. He broke those boxes and took out the wrappers, means clothes here, and he got on those warm clothes. Soon, with shoes and overcoat and a wide brimmed hat, a round hat with white edges, he became a fully dressed and visible person. In the kitchen of the restaurant, he found cold meat and coffee, and he followed up the meal with sweets and wine taken from the grocery store. Finally, he settled down to sleep on a pile of quilts. He found soft quilts also there. So, after taking the meal, coffee, wine, then he settled down to take some sleep there. If only Griffin had managed to wake up in good time, all might have been well. As it was, he did not wake up until the assistants were already arriving next morning. If he had been able to wake up timely before any people come there, it would have been all good for him. But no, it didn't happen. The assistants came when he was already there. And when he saw a couple of them approaching, those storekeepers or assistants, when he saw two of them were coming, he panicked and began to run. He was afraid that he could be spotted, so he started running. They naturally gave chase, naturally they followed him, In the end, he was able to escape only by quickly taking off his newly found clothes. So, just to escape from them, he had to remove all his clothes to become invisible. So, once more, he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air. This time, he decided to try the stock of a theatrical company in the hope of finding not only clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulders. Now, a theatre company he went into. He hoped that he would find clothes also and something else which he can use on his face, because when he wears all the clothes but the area of face only looks empty. Shivering with cold, he hurried to the Drury Lane, the center of the theatre vault. The name of that theatre company, Drury Lane. He entered there. He soon found a suitable shop in that place. He made his way invisible up stairs and came out a little later wearing bandages round his forehead. So, after some time, when he found some clothes and on the face, on his forehead, he wrapped some bandages. Dark glasses, false nose, big bushy side whiskers, as it was a theatre company, so all material of makeup he found there. So, he found glasses also, he found a false fake nose also, and big bushy side whiskers like mustaches also, and a large hat. To escape without being seen, he callously attacked the shopkeeper. Cruelly, he attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him of all money he could find. He also robbed him, he snatched all the money from him, whatever he could find. Okay, this was the first part of this story, and I would complete it in the second part. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you. Bye bye.